Hello and a warm welcome to one and all. A heartfelt namaste to everyone out there. Today, we are going to talk about the advent of Venus in Mula Nakshatra. Mula means the basic, it means the very base on which our foundations are laid. It is the original quality and it is so many other things that depicts that it is the center, it is the fulcrum of the very being. Mula Nakshatra also holds on the basic chakra in which the entire foundation of our human system is based. Yes, it is the basis of the Muladhara chakra in the body. The Muladhara chakra is the chakra that is responsible for all our primary functions and our day-to-day living. So this makes this nakshatra a very, very important nakshatra. Muladhara, moreover, the Mula Nakshatra is a point where the galactic center intersects with the zodiac in the skies. So this makes the point of the beginning or the fundamental point. With such an important nakshatra wherein Venus, the goddess of sensuality, sexuality, and the goddess of free gift, goddess of prosperity, moves in. Let us see what it brings forth to us. But first, we need to cover Muladhara Nakshatra in detail too. Venus in Moola from 27th January 2019 to 10th February 2019. So, the word Moola means original, root, source, base, basis. It is also the origin. So, it is the point where the galactic center intersects the zodiac, and that is where it begins with the accent or movement of the person ascending towards the spiritual being. This nakshatra stands for change because it brings about a complete radical transformation in the life of a person, wherein the soul finds a new direction and realizes many different powers within it, because the soul moves deep down into its fundamentals, finding out the inherent powers, the potential within it, and knowing that this is the best time to bring about this change and transformation. A complete overhaul from top to bottom can be felt and understood. And when we realize the egoism that a person is going through, the arrogance that a person has gone over, the person has to undergo a huge amount of transformation. Before we move further into Moola, let's take a close look of the nakshatra that this planet has just passed over. This planet has moved from Jeshta and is now covering into Moola. Jeshta nakshatra, in its very word, it means the top, the best, the eldest. So the person moves right there into the position of being, or the planet moves into a position of being on a very, very high stand. From there, from a very high seat, the planet undergoes a complete overhaul, changeover, moving into the base. That is, from a position of power, from a position of authority, from a position of dignity and honor, the person or the planet moves right there at the very base root levels of an entity or an enterprise. Arrogance needs to be realized, our past mistakes need to be understood, left behind, forgiven, forsaken, or penance needs to be done in this zone so that a complete change, a complete transformation can happen. There is a carryover of the desires and the authoritative position power has brought about into the Mula Nakshatra, and so it is primarily guided by sensual pleasures. A person has been so addicted in the Jeshta Nakshatra to these pleasures and physical cravings that the cravings start taking a higher note for the person. Now, as the planet advents into Moola, these cravings of the person now start start disintegrating, and the person has now to undergo transformation. Like a child whose favorite toy is being taken out from his hand, and the kind of screaming and the tantrum that the child undergoes, this is exactly what a person undergoes when the when a planet is transforming or moving into this nakshatra, and there's an exact tantrum. But when the child realizes that he's not going to get the toy, come what may, he adapts, changes, and then knowing that he can take up something else, take a different toy, do something else, finds an avenue, changes his direction, his thought process, and becomes a different in a different mood altogether. Similarly, the person realizing that the sensual cravings that he's had, the sensual nature that he's undergoing, now has to be left behind. Life is not leaving that opportunity in his hands. He has to let go of it, and he has to change into a different being. Initially he resists that change, but and he becomes angry, he becomes violent, he becomes cruel, highly agitated. All these things come to the surface. But knowing, when the knowing comes that there cannot be a change further, and he will have to adapt, have to adjust to it, and the sensory entity clashes with the spiritual side of nature, and the spiritual side slowly starts taking over, the person also realizes that he has to adapt, he does so, and there is a complete transformation. As the transformation happens on one level, the material aspect of the person immediately starts flowing in after that, because the transformation has left behind a person who's more sensible, who's more responsible, and who's more guided. So material well-being definitely does flow in, and then a person is more suited, more responsible to work on these peripheries. However, as time goes by, if the person falls back to in his old ways, with the advent of other nakshatra, the planet advent of planet in other nakshatras, if he does fall back, then there will again be a redemption in the other nakshatras to come. Or if it's a fast moving planet, then we do see that the redemption might happen once again in a year or two, depending on the planet that we're talking about. This much for Mula Nakshatra. And as we go into Venus, we see Venus in this nakshatra does play an important role, because we know it represents beauty, knowledge, compassion, sexuality. So these points, which is the craving of Mula Nakshatra, here Venus is able to satisfy. However, Venus is also Sanjeevani Vidya. Venus also gets exalted in the 12th house of the natural zodiac, meaning learning to let go. And Venus holds on to these characteristics also. Sexuality, which is a forte of Mula Nakshatra, and is because, as I said earlier, it's the seat of Muladhara chakra of the body. So every form of energy that is moving from, the Muladhara Nakshatra helps us, empowers us to be very strong in a materialist aspect of life, as well as be aware. Venus has this ability to channelize the ascent of of all our energies from the Muladhara upwards to all the other chakras, provided we know that there is patience, we treat it with awareness and patience, and Venus is very capable of providing that with it. This transformation that is brought about as the energy ascends is requires a lot of patience, it requires a lot of dedication, it requires a lot of awareness, and there is change. But Venus is able to do that because of its proximity with Saturn in Sagittarius. So we are going to see how Venus is working out for all the planets, all the lagnas, as starting with Aries. In Moola, for Aries, Venus is the lord of the second and the seventh, and it is placed in the ninth house with the 10th lord. It is a time when you are likely to think how to conduct yourself on a public and personal platform so that you are able to attain the peace of mind you so desire and also the honor that you deserve. It is a time when trying to work at a grassroots level to bring about a change in your relationships will make you prosper. When any planet is transiting a particular nakshatra, it captures the inherent positions, inherent nature of that nakshatra, and working with its own palette is able to convert some form of that into your charts. So this is the time when we are able to work out the transit effect of a particular planet through a particular nakshatra, depending upon the position of the planet even in our chart. If Venus is posited for, say, the Aries Lagna in fifth house, that is the house of Leo, the sign of Leo, then in that case, for such a person, it is also to bring about a change in their own public image. It is also to work on a very grassroots level with children and elders together to bring about a peace and prosperity, not in only in your house, but also in the lives of such persons. And this is how it is modulated in not just your chart, but in everybody's chart who's watching, depending upon the placement of Venus, for instance, here in this case, in a person's chart, depending upon also the lagna for a person. As we move ahead with Venus in Moola for Taurus Lagna, the Lagna Lord and the sixth Lord moves into the eighth house. This is a time when you should take care of your health. There may be some fundamental changes that you have to make in life regarding your ownership, partnership, or marriage and your work. It will be helpful in future. It is also a time when you are likely to rethink about your sadhana or spiritual practices, and you need to make some basic changes. It is a great time for you to start worshipping the Devi, as she's likely to bring in a lot of prosperity for you. For the Mula Nakshatra, one of the best remedies is to give away a lot of dan. It is also the time to do a lot of sadhana, as it strengthens your basic survival instincts and it helps in bringing in a change in your life. Sadhana means your spiritual practices and your parents. You may find that you could also have to restart any court or legal proceedings all over again. For the Gemini Lagna, the 12th Lord and the 5th Lord transits to the 7th house. It is a good time for you to start on a new chant or puja, as it will make you assess the universal energies quite easily. Travels and gains in popularity is also seen. It is quite possible for students to get into a new study or apply for some new course. It is a time when you could also start a new partnership. However, please do get the legalities worked out very carefully. For the Cancer Lagna, Venus is the lord of the 4th and the 11th house. As it transits the 6th house of health and hygiene, it pushes one to take care of the health and restart a program. It is also the time when you need to be observant of your workplace and your employees and your bosses, as it would lead you to a greater understanding of the system and develop better ways of generating income. It could also help you generate a better name in your circles if you pay greater attention to small points of the masses in particular. It is also a time when you will have the ability to let go of bad habits. This is a time when you can actually put in much effort and convert those very, very stubborn habits of yours into something better. Because Venus is also your Badhaka. Your Badhakesh moving from your 6th house could also remove obstructions and obstacles for you. Venus in Mula Nakshatra. For the Leo Lagna, that is, it is the 3rd and the 10th Lord in Mula Nakshatra in the 5th house. This suggests that you're likely to get lucky with your work, provided you make serious attempts to do hard labor. It is a time for you to take initiative and reach out to people such that they're drawn to your radical new ideas and are willing to work with you. So it is a time when you can actually put in a new effort to be charismatic in a very different manner. You could also work to make yourself more grounded and approachable. As an initiative, starting a mantra siddhi or a new branch of education goes a long way to bring in prosperity in your life. For the Virgo Lagna, the 2nd and the 9th Lord transits the Mula Lagna in the 4th house. It is definitely time for you to move in a contemplative mode and generate a connectivity design for the family. Traditional values for the family may need revision and consent of the elderly. It is also a time when you will take much thought about your children into consideration, especially as regards to matter about their wealth and education. This will help you set up a great rapport with them. This is also a time when you would know how to build bridges with people. You can also work deep down, finding things out. This is a time for people in general, wherever your Venus is, because Venus is generosity, Venus is sharing. And as it moves through the Mula Nakshatra, where it has the ability to penetrate many areas of life, you will have the ability to work in many areas in your life. And as is placement of Venus in your chart, and as Venus moves in the Mula Nakshatra as per your Lagna, you would have the ability to assess these houses at very, very strong levels. So please don't miss out on this opportunity, and probably the final opportunity before Venus, Saturn moves into its own house. So this is a time, this is an area where Saturn and Venus as friends are guiding you to bring about a fundamental and a structural change in your life processes, as in moving more towards spirituality, because Sagittarius, let us not forget, is the house of spirituality for all Lagnas concerned. For Moola for Venus in Moola for Libra Lagna, the Lagna Lord and the 8th Lord goes into the Mula Nakshatra in the 3rd house. You're likely to induce many changes in your lives, especially related to your sadhana or spiritual practices. It is now when your concentration on the Mooladhara Chakra will raise your powers exponentially. Also, you're likely to get certain dreams. It is time when the Devi and the universal powers are beckoning you to bring about a huge amount of influx of courage, of initiativeness in your life, because Venus in the 3rd house gives you the ability to be humble, to be silent, and yet be very strong, which is one of the feminine characters of the Devi Shakti. Your creative powers are likely to find new avenues and new means. As for Venus in Moola for Scorpio Lagna, the 7th Lord and the 12th Lord is associated with the 2nd house. Spouse and family are an important agenda the next few days, and you need to be giving them extra care. It is a time when you are likely to go into new partnerships or associations. This could help you generate wealth and comfort for your family and self. And it could also result in your traveling to new places or areas to set some roots down or plant some new settings for a new venture. Venus in Moola for the Sagittarius Lagna, the 6th house and the 11th lord is transiting the Lagna. This is a time when you should go out there, make lots of contacts and do some social activities which are of a different type. This will increase your social activity. It will bring about an increase in your career too. It is a time to take up a new type of healthcare system if possible, to get into a toxic cleansing mode. This will help you lead a better life, more energy into your system, and you can be fit in the body and the mind because it's your 6th and the 11th lord, 6th to 6th too. So you could be socializing everything, but keep a careful watch on what you are intaking in your systems, be it the mental system or be it the physical system. We move towards the Capricorn Lagna. For the Capricorn Lagna, the 5th lord and the 10th lord transit the 12th house. It is a time for you to observe the changes you make in your career and you need to then act accordingly. Also, it may be a time when you let your hair down and move from the high pressures of your work, take up some form of entertainment, bring in that change in your life wherein being a workaholic, you need to realize that all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. So bring in a different form of entertainment, bring in some socializing even on your scale of, the office and your workplace. It should not be all work and no play for any of you. It is a great time to start into a new prayer system, as Venus is with the Lagna Lord Saturn in the sign of Sagittarius, to make it an effective exercise. When we talk about Venus in Aquarius, we see that it is a time when the 4th lord and the 9th lord transits the 11th house. It is a time to make up a new set of circles for acquaintances. It is also a time to find out fundamental issues in the family which need to be addressed so that you can set certain values in place. As Venus is also with the Lagna Lord, you are likely to bring these changes effectively. A need to be soft yet firm in your approach will help you attain your goals very easily. So, this Yoga Karaka moving into a place of initiation, moving into a place of giving you gains and new gains at that is a good place to begin with for the Aquarius Lagna. For the Pisces Lagna, it is the 3rd and the 8th lord in the 10th house. It is a time when you will have to take certain steps to bring about a change in your work and show a certain amount of generosity. It is also a time when your mother-in-law could have an important say in your life. Your spouse could also be traveling on account of work or other obligations. Or it could also be a great time, like the Libra Lagna for you, to move into a great zone of austerity, of sadhana, and of taking things in your hand and bringing about a change, not just your life, but your work more particularly. So we move into the general feature of the week, that is the good days of the week are Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday and Saturday, 27th, 28th, 30th, 31st and 2nd. As we see the transits, we see the transit this week is that Sun moves from Shravana to Dhanishta, Moon moves from Sagittarius to Pisces, Mars moves from Pisces to Aries, and Mercury moves from Capricorn to Aquarius. So we see a lot of movement this month, especially Mars and Mercury changing signs. Mars going back to its own house will really bring in a lot of different kind of energies which have been passive for the last 2 months now will come out in the forefront with Mars rampantly moving into Aries. Jupiter moves at a very slow speed in Scorpio and it remains in its own pada of Jyeshta 3 as before. Venus moves from Mula 2 to Mula 4. So this time we're seeing that how fast Venus is going to move, and Saturn moves from Sagittarius, Purva, Purva, Purvashara 3, remaining in Sagittarius Purvashara 3, as do the other two planets, the Chaya Grahas, Rahu and Ketu, remaining in Punarvasu and Uttarashara. So these four planets, Jupiter, Saturn, Rahu and Ketu, have been in the same pada, moving very slowly indeed. So if you have any questions, you can find me at anuradha.s@anuradhasharda.com, or you can, if you want to book a consultation with me, you can book it at anuradhasharda.com. My Twitter account, wherein I put in one JPEG, one daily thought of the day, astrological vibrations of the day as per the Panchang, and my Facebook page where we do share a lot of things is divine sciences. So do subscribe to that page. Do log on to the Twitter account if you would like to know what the vibes of the day are. With this, I come to an end of the presentation for today, but my note of thought is, how far are we willing to change? Is Moola really working for us, or are we not willing to change at all? Well, time makes sure that we do change. The question is, are we going to do it willingly, or is it going to be forced on us? With that thought in mind, have a great day. And if you've liked the video, share it with everybody so that all of us can have a look at it and benefit from it. Till we meet again, have a great day. Bye.